Sport is the best analogy to describe about competition. So let's start with chapter 1 to chapter 4 from this book. As a leader, you have to know how to manage strategy and tactic. What is exactly strategy and tactic means?
Football is not just a game. It is not all about winning the game, but also earning money. So that sometimes acquisition of a club by a financially powerful investor or a new sponsorship contract becomes much more important. Real Madrid as example, they increased the value of the club brand by signing renowned players, built stadium, and they also toured to Asia and North America to conquer new markets.
So, strategy describes the destination and how you are going to get there. And tactics describe the specific action you are going to take along the way. Overall, the rule of thumb is think strategically and act tactically.
But before leaders choose what strategy that best for the company, they have to know if there are barriers to entry. The existence of barriers to entry means that incumbent firms are able to do what potential rivals cannot. So it is difficult for new firms to enter the market. Barriers of entry also called as competitive advantages.
There are three kinds of genuine competitive advantage: supply, demand, and economy of scale. Real Madrid competitive advantage from supply is their valuable and renowned player. Their competitive demand is their fanatic fans, and their economy of scale, of course, their value of the club that's worth $4 billion.
Because the concept of competitive advantage lies at the core of business strategy, it is essential to determine whether a company benefits from a competitive advantage. There are three basic steps to doing such an assessment. First, identify the competitive landscape in which the firm operates. Which market is it really in? Who are its competitors in each one? Second, test for the existence of competitive advantages in each market. Do incumbent firms maintain stable market shares? Are they exceptionally profitable over a substantial period? Third, identify the likely nature of any competitive advantage that may exist. Do the incumbents have proprietary technologies or captive customers? Are there economies of scale or regulatory hurdles from which they benefit?
What I like from the book is the authors not only give us the theories. Greenwald and Judd Khan takes us through the several case studies from the business world, and these were artfully integrated into a strategic framework laid out earlier in the book. In the section 5, the author discussed and focused on the local economies of scale, and saw how Walmart leveraged local economies of scale to succeed in its market. Then, as a counterexample, they cite the experience of Coors, which was also originally a region champion, but subsequently strayed from this vision and found that further distribution killed margin. On the section 6, the author discussed and focused on the competitive market of the personal computer industry. Compaq and Apple experienced early success by initially competing based on these economies of scale. But as the market grew, this advantage disappeared, as others also began to compete based on this scale advantage in the so-called dilemma of growth. Section 7, the authors tells and explain the firm who related to the development of the compact disc or CD. The Philips and the market for the CD also exhibited a similar dynamics. Once again, the market grew, eliminating the scale advantage. In the next section, the authors explore the price competition and the prisoner's dilemma, and begin with the example of Louis and Home Depot. The essential dynamic of the most competitive interaction revolves around one of two issues: the price and quantity. Of this, the price competition is the most common form of interaction among a small number of the competitors.
For analysis of direct competitive interaction, we have focused on just two forms of competition: prisoner's dilemma game, which contests of pricing, and entry-preemptive game, which contests of capacity. Chapter 9 to 12 told us on a story, prisoner's dilemma and entry-preemption games played in the industries. Cola wars between Coca-Cola and Pepsi started in the early of 13th until the late of 70s, leaving a lesson that the price competition they had ended up with a bad result for both, slicing the margins and didn't even stop the great loss of the market share. After beating up each other for a decade, they learned to cooperate each other and avoiding unnecessary confrontation. This cooperative relationship had the desired effect. The profit margins went up for both of them.
To avoid destroying each other in business dilemma game, we should avoid direct competition by increasing the customer's choice of product. And second is develop customer loyalty program, which cumulative-based reward, making customers stay rather than go to the competitors. And the third, limit output capacity to avoid price cutting, of course. And the fourth, use the social interaction within the industries, restraining undesirable price strategy. And the five, develop reward system, which value profit more than sales growth.
Alright, stand by. 3.
When Fox entered the broadcasting business with ABC, CBS, and NBC as incumbent giants, is seen as the ideal way to enter the club without directly challenging them.
The company that we knew and loved is changing.
It secured local stations that weren't existing affiliates of the Big Three, priced its advertising at 20% discount, prevailing rates, and filled its time slot with entertainment that was not considered. Fox once sent signal to the incumbents that it wasn't going to wreck the club economics. The manner which Fox saw to the network with their strategies intend to abide by rules of the incumbents. It will suffer the incumbent more if they try to wipe out Fox. The smart move for the incumbent is letting them join the club.
This is the beginning of a new era.
Almost the same strategies used by Kiwi, entering the airplane business that were dominant by the giants. Kiwi aimed at the segmented market with a few passengers on limited routes. Therefore, the giant in the market doesn't feel being threatened. After Kiwi succeed with the segmented market, they are trying to get a bigger market, as it draws the big player attention, and also the new entrants. By the time Kiwi filed for bankruptcy in October 1990.
And how to avoid destroying each other in the business dilemma game. First one, avoid direct product competition by increasing customer choice. Second is develop customer loyalty program. And then the third, limit output capacity to avoid price cutting. 4. Use social interaction within the industries, restraining undesirable pricing strategies. And 5. Develop reward system which value profit more than the sales growth.
Hey guys, I've been reading this book, very interesting, from chapter 30 until 16. It's tell about competition and cooperation. So this book is telling about competition between Kodak and Polaroid. As you know, today Kodak doesn't exist anymore. It is because of they cannot meet the demand of competition. They got trying to compete with Polaroid on instant photographic. By the time they concentrate on it, there are new players come to the market, which is Fujifilm. As you know, company have to focus on one thing, so they cannot focus on two things. And now they're suffering in instant camera, and also they divide on film producer. So how we can compete with this? We have to do cooperation. There are two types of cooperation. The first one is symmetrical. What is symmetrical? Symmetrical is you have to cooperate with another company, but every penny that is from cooperation produce, or probably the profit is $2, you got $1 and your partner got $1. It's symmetrical. The other thing is called individual rationality, which means that you and your partners have to look the benefit, what are you good at and what your partner good at, and make a good cooperation. But put in mind that cooperation should be good in legal way, because there are samples in this book telling about cooperation in mobile games. At that time, there is a Nintendo, PlayStation, and things, and there are three big players on it. They are cooperating, which are game maker, the console maker, and also the retailer. Yeah. The bad things happen is the product life cycle is shorter than the demographic change, because the boys are getting older. They demand new technology, new model about the game, and the game producer and also the mobile and the console producer, they cannot meet it. That is about cooperation. Okay, see you in the next video. I'm going to swim. Bye.
Hi, my name is Rais. Let's continue our review, chapter 16, valuation from a strategic perspective, discussing about strategy and value. We know strategy and value, discussing about net present value. Then net present value is the difference between the present value of cash inflow and the present value of cash outflow. And a strategic approach to valuation, we have to look at the asset. The most reliable information for valuing a company is the information on its balance sheet. Both the asset and the liabilities exist in the present. And in chapter 17 about corporate development and strategy, discussing about merger and acquisition. A merger occurs when two separate entities combine forces to create a new joint organization. Meanwhile, an acquisition refers to the takeover of one entity by another. The strategic bottom line for merger and acquisition that have to be met, the first is must be competitive advantages to produce the synergies, and the second, the synergies must consist of cost saving. Discussing about management and company performance, companies with outstanding performance focus on particular industries or even sub-segments of industries. One example is General Electric. GE had entered natural resources business where it could be not achieved the goal. At the time, GE had return on equity about 17% over 15 years and make GE the most valuable company in the world. The strategy formulation should have three underlying goals. The first is identify the competitive universe in which the company operates and to locate its position regarding competitive advantages and barriers to entry. The second is recognize and manage effectively competitive interaction with other firms on whom the company's performance critically depends. And the last is develop a clear, simple and accurate vision of where the company should be headed. That's all our conclusion about this book. Thank you for watching, enjoying and subscribing this video. Adios.